Hey everyone, it's your girl Jaden, back with another video, and today we're about to get seriously historical. Okay, maybe not seriously, you already know I keep it light and fun. But seriously, we're about to dive into some amazing stories of women throughout history who were total rock stars, but didn't always get the recognition they deserved. When you think history, you probably picture like dudes in powdered wigs signing important documents, right? No shade to those dudes, but where are the ladies at? Turns out, they were busy changing the world too. So, get ready to have your minds blown because we're about to uncover the untold stories of these incredible women who prove that history is anything but boring. Let's do it. Okay, let's rewind all the way back to ancient times. Picture this, it's like a gazillion years ago and people are just figuring out this whole civilization thing. You might think it was a total sausage fest back then, but guess what? Women were already killing it. Take Hypatia of Alexandria, for example. This woman was a straight-up genius, like seriously, she puts our high school math teachers to shame. Hypatia was a mathematician, astronomer, philosopher. Basically, she was the original Renaissance woman way before the Renaissance was even a thing. Hypatia was a total rock star in the academic world. She was a respected lecturer at the Library of Alexandria, which was like the Google of its time, and she tutored some of the most influential thinkers of the day. But here's the thing, being a brilliant, independent woman in ancient Egypt wasn't exactly a walk in the park. Hypatia lived during a time of intense political and religious upheaval. Even though she was silenced, her legacy lived on, inspiring scholars for centuries. Alright, let's fast forward a few centuries to the Renaissance, a time when Europe was like, okay, enough with the Dark Ages, let's make some art, science, and explore some stuff, typical Renaissance vibes. And guess what? Women were right there in the thick of it, making major contributions to the artistic and intellectual explosion of the era. One of these trailblazers was Artemisia Gentileschi, an Italian painter who was basically the Beyoncé of the Baroque period. Fierce, talented, and a total boss. Artemisia was known for her incredible skill in capturing dramatic scenes and emotions on canvas, particularly when it came to painting strong, independent women. She faced a lot of challenges in a world that was totally dominated by men, especially in the art world. But she didn't let that stop her. She broke down barriers and became one of the most sought-after artists of her time. One of Artemisia's most famous paintings is Judith beheading Holofernes. She portrayed Judith not as a delicate damsel in distress but as a powerful and determined woman taking charge. The way she captured the raw emotion and physicality of the scene was revolutionary for its time. Artemisia's influence went way beyond just one painting, inspiring a whole generation of female artists. Okay, let's jump ahead to the 19th and 20th centuries, a time when women were finally like, okay, enough is enough. We deserve equal rights. Now, you've probably heard of iconic figures like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who were total powerhouses in the fight for women's suffrage. But there were so many other incredible women who were on the front lines of this movement. Women whose names might not be in all the history books, but whose contributions were just as vital. One of these unsung heroes was Sojourner Truth, a former enslaved woman who became a powerful voice for both abolition and women's rights. Sojourner was known for her fiery speeches and her unwavering belief in equality for all people, regardless of race or gender. She traveled across the country, speaking out against the injustices she witnessed and inspiring others to join the fight for a more just world. One of Sojourner Truth's most famous speeches was delivered at the Ohio Women's Rights Convention in 1851. It's known as the Ain't I a Woman speech, and let me tell you, it was powerful. In her speech, Sojourner challenged the prevailing notions of womanhood at the time, which often excluded black women. She spoke about her experiences as an enslaved woman, the physical labor she endured, and the strength she possessed. Her words resonated deeply with the audience and became a rallying cry for the women's rights movement. Sojourner Truth's story is a testament to the power of one voice to spark change. Alright, let's talk about women in STEM, because let's be real, the world of science and technology wouldn't be the same without the groundbreaking contributions of women. But unfortunately, history has a way of overlooking their achievements and giving all the credit to the guys. Well, not today. We're about to shine a light on some of the brilliant women who broke barriers and made mind-blowing discoveries that changed the world. First up, we have Marie Curie, the OG queen of radioactivity. I mean, this woman was a two-time Nobel Prize winner, which is already incredibly impressive. But when you consider that she achieved this in the early 20th century, a time when women in science were practically unheard of, it's even more mind-boggling. Marie Curie dedicated her life to scientific research, and her work with radioactivity revolutionized our understanding of physics and chemistry. She discovered two new elements, polonium and radium, and her research paved the way for the development of X-rays and other life-saving medical treatments. But her journey wasn't without its challenges. Marie faced constant sexism and discrimination from her male colleagues, who often dismissed her work or took credit for her discoveries. But she didn't let that stop her. And then there's Rosalind Franklin, a British chemist whose work was crucial in understanding the structure of DNA. Rosalind's expertise in X-ray diffraction was instrumental in capturing the famous Photo 51, which revealed the double helix structure of DNA. Her work was shared without her knowledge with other scientists, who went on to win the Nobel Prize for the discovery of DNA structure. Rosalind's contributions were largely overlooked during her lifetime, and it wasn't until years later that her crucial role was fully recognized. Alright, we can't talk about women who shaped history without mentioning the incredible women who dedicated their lives to fighting for social justice and equality. These are the women who stood up against discrimination, challenged the status quo, and fought tirelessly for a more just and equitable world. One of the most iconic figures in the fight for racial equality is Rosa Parks, known for her courageous act of defiance on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama, in 1955. Rosa's refusal to give up her seat to a white man sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement that lasted for over a year and drew national attention to the injustices faced by black people in the segregated South. But Rosa Parks wasn't the first woman to challenge segregation on buses in Montgomery. Months before Rosa's act of defiance, a 15-year-old girl named Claudette Colvin refused to give up her seat on a crowded bus. Claudette's courageous act at such a young age demonstrated her unwavering belief in equality and justice. However, Claudette's story didn't receive the same widespread attention as Rosa Parks's. Some historians believe that the NAACP, the leading civil rights organization at the time, chose to highlight Rosa's story because she was perceived as a more respectable face for the movement. Rosa Parks was a seamstress with a stable job and a long history of activism within the NAACP, while Claudette was a young, unmarried teenager who was still in school. The decision to focus on Rosa's story highlights the complexities of the civil rights movement and the difficult choices that activists had to make in their fight for equality. But it's crucial to remember and acknowledge the contributions of women like Claudette Colvin, whose acts of courage often went unnoticed or were overshadowed by other events. These women were pioneers in their own right, paving the way for others to follow in their footsteps and demand justice. Wow, you guys, we've covered a lot of ground today. From ancient philosophers to scientific geniuses to fearless activists, we've seen how women have been shaping our world for centuries, often overcoming incredible obstacles and defying societal expectations. It's time we start recognizing and celebrating their contributions, not just during Women's History Month, but every single day. These women's stories remind us that history is not just a collection of dates and battles fought by men in powdered wigs. So, the next time you open a history book, look beyond the familiar names and seek out the stories of the women who helped shape our world. Their legacies continue to inspire us to this day.